Welcome to part 2 of Unit 3.3, Introduction to Trigonometry. So we have a problem here. It says determine the missing sides. Again, you can stop the video right now and try and figure out what they are. But the first thing that you should do is, if a diagram doesn't have any labels on it, so all you've got is just some numbers telling you how long things are or how big angles are, then give it some generic labels, like not opposite, hypotenuse, not those. So we could call this X and we could call this Y, and then we could just call this angle here angle theta. Remember before I said that we often use Greek letters to represent angles, so that's what we're going to do in this case. Okay, so now you can stop the video and try and find X and Y. Alright, so if this is my reference angle, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, and this is the hypotenuse. To find X, I'm looking for the opposite, and I know the hypotenuse. That is, I'm going to write SOHCAHTOA up here. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So the sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now substitute the sine of 25 degrees equals x over 13. Multiply both sides by 13. That'll cancel that out. So x will equal whatever 13 times the sine of 25 is, which is 5.49, and I guess that's in meters. To find y, we're looking for the adjacent. We know the hypotenuse, so that means we're going to use cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of 25 degrees equals the adjacent, which we've called y, over the hypotenuse, which is 13. Multiply both sides by 13, and so y equals 13 times, whoops, I forgot to clear, 13 times the cosine of 25 degrees, which is equal to 11.78 meters. Okay, how'd you do? All right, let's try another one. Again, for this one, be careful when you're rearranging the equations, especially when you're looking for the hypotenuse. So again, stop the video, try it, and then see how you do. Okay, stop the video. I'm going to call this X, and I'm going to call this Y, and that's my angle theta. So to find X, which is the hypotenuse, I'm going to, that means I know the I'm looking for the hypotenuse. I know this would be the adjacent side. So this is hypotenuse, this is opposite, this is adjacent. All right, that's, again, SOHCAHTOA. That would be Ka. So the cosine of theta equals the adjacent, which I know to be 11, divided by the hypotenuse, which I've called X. Oops, that wasn't right. I was supposed to do this first. Good communication, folks. Cos of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So now the cos of 42 degrees equals the adjacent, which is 11, divided by the hypotenuse, which we've called x. So now we need to rearrange this to isolate x. So the first thing we need to do is multiply both sides by x. That'll get rid of it on this side. And then that gives us x cos theta equals 11. And then we need to divide both sides by cos of 42. So divide that by the cosine of 42 degrees. So x equals 11 divided by the cosine of 42 degrees. So over here we've got 11 divided by the cosine of 42 degrees, and that equals 14.8, and this is centimeters this time. So if you notice, what really happened here, in this line, we had cos of 42 degrees equals 11 over x. And then we ended up with x equals 11 over 42 degrees. So really, all that happened is these two pieces switched places. And you can do that every time if you want. You don't have to go through showing all the division and the getting rid of the x and all that stuff. So you can go right from this line here and then just switch the x and the cos of 42, and you get 11 over the cos of 42 degrees. That only works when the x is in the denominator. Okay? All right, I'm going to erase this. And now I'm going to find y. So I'm looking for the opposite, and I know the adjacent. So that's tan this time. We haven't done tan yet. So tan of theta equals opposite over adjacent. So the tan of 42 degrees equals the opposite, which we've called y, over the adjacent, which is 11. So this is an easy one like the ones we did before. Multiply both sides by 11. So y would equal whatever 11 times, so I'm going to go over here, 11 times the tan of 42 degrees, and that equals about 9.9 centimeters. Okay? Again, like any other time, if you're having any troubles, please email me. We can figure out a way for us to talk about this and get through it. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here, and I'm going to do part 3.